What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of the Buy the Hood podcast or webcast because I don't know how you're consuming this content. I'm your host as always. My name is Jimmy. And as we start off every episode, that's with gratitude. Just want to say thank you to everybody out there that supports everything we do, all of our listeners, students at Buy the Hood University. We want to send a special shout out to you guys. Just all the support we got. Everybody who subscribed to our YouTube channel, who listens on Apple Podcasts. Thank you to everybody that helps this mission because it's greater than either one of us. I do want to ask you guys, if you're watching on YouTube or if someone shared this video with you, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because we're trying to step our game up on YouTube. We're going to start releasing content on a daily basis. So we're trying to build this YouTube platform out. So make sure you subscribe. If you happen to be listening to the podcast, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/buythehood, and subscribe to the channel and share those videos. But I'm joined as always by my partner in crime, Corey. Core, what's good, bro?
Nothing, man. You know, living and breathing, man. I'm out here in the pitch black and the thing. I'm taking these glasses off because it's dark as hell out here, man. So
Listen, we got to get the work in any way we can, man. We got to put this work in, man. You did.
Yeah.
This is
many loaded looks out here.
He gonna get this work. Listen, this is a very special episode. Because we have a team on. Now, I know you're probably looking at this video like this isn't a normal platform. We're using a different platform because we want to make sure that we highlight multiple people from this organization, right? This is a powerful organization. I follow what they have going on online, and it's very impressive to me because these are brothers who are building something powerful together. And I want to welcome on the gentleman from Breaux Capital. We got the brother Ras Asan, and we have Terrance White in the building. What's up, gentlemen? How are you?
What's going on, man? How y'all feeling?
Yeah.
Oh man, listen, man, we're doing amazing, man. You guys are two out of a whole collective, and what you guys are building is very, very impressive. And we have to highlight that. And we couldn't just have one of you on; we had to have at least two of you on to kind of talk about what you're building and what this journey looks like, man. So, Ross, I want to start with you because you are one of the founders of Breaux Capital. And before we actually get to talking to Terrance, give us a little bit about your background. Where are you from? Where you born and raised? And what's your education look like?
Okay. Originally from Cleveland, Ohio, southeast side. But of course, you know, like many of my peers, my roots are from the southeast of the United States. Really, my mom's side of the family is from Tuskegee, Alabama. So a lot of my family's history takes place in Tuskegee, and you know, if anybody knows anything about Tuskegee with you know, George Washington Carver, Booker T. Washington, and even with the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, that all of that was heavy in my upbringing, you know, from a do for self type perspective. My grandfather was a farmer in Tuskegee, and so just, you know what I'm saying, having that pride. And then I went to gifted and talented, you know, high school and middle school or whatever. And so, you know, from there was able to go to Morehouse College and was originally an economics major, but I took an intro to sociology course and fell in love with, you know, everything that they were teaching and totally just, you know, kind of understood that I was studying sociology my entire life. And all the questions that I had been asking and wanted answers for kind of were really being, you know, broken down in this intro to sociology course. And so that was pivotal for me. And that kind of led to my approach to entrepreneurship. Always been, you know, entrepreneurial minded, right? My first venture was watering flowers for one of my neighbors. And then I kind of had I had a landscaping operation by the time I was like 17. I had maybe 20 yards across the city, you know what I'm saying, as a 17-year-old living at home, and able to have 20 yards at, you know, average $20 a pop. You feel me? I'm doing my own thing, setting my own hours. And so that was major for me in terms of my journey. But fast forward, graduated from Morehouse. And some of my friends actually introduced me to Forex right before I had graduated. And so we started diving into technical analysis. And we understood that we weren't experts, but we wanted to just share with our younger selves, right, our 13-year-old, 14-year-old self, what we had learned. And that also led to starting an education or financial literacy program for Morehouse feeder program, but it kind of ended up getting cut out. Fast forward, right? Graduate, I'm back at home in Cleveland, Ohio, and recently graduated. So my classmate hit me up. He's like, hey man, I'm building this company. I'm looking for some, I'm in an accelerator, but I needed a partner to go into this accelerator, right? Can you come out and, can you work on this thing with me? I'm like, yeah, sure enough. And that my partner was Darius Quarles. And so we were, we moved to Kentucky, got into entrepreneurship, business startup, lean startup methodology, business model canvas, the whole nine, pitching across the country, like literally across the country. And so like, fresh out of college, I really cut my teeth as an entrepreneur in terms of, just, iterative modeling, rapid design, rapid iteration, all of that, customer-centered design, all of that. And, but of course, no matter how much science I had, no matter how cold we were on the pitching side, we always encountered that inherent bias from the traditional venture capitalist space. And so that was, how we led to Breaux Capital, because they would always ask us, so how much have you raised in your friends and family round? And we like, friends and family round, like what's that about, right? You know what I'm saying? And so, but we would be at these different places and we would hear about guys who had lost 25,000 or lost 250K, and then they, were able to get investors to give them 500K next time because of everything that they had learned and so on and so forth. And we were just amazed every time, like, wow, y'all really blew 250K, let alone, were able to get somebody else to give you another 250K. So that kind of lent into the name of Breaux Capital, right? That friends and family round, being able to give entrepreneurs a boost who had already validated that initial premise, right? And we're really just looking to scale out, because we both know as a barber, right, you could be cutting heads at the house, but you need that capital infusion to get that barbershop so that you can have other people doing it, right? Essentially, to scale up. And so that's where we decided that Breaux Capital would be a viable solution to that, is us being able to pool our resources, right? Pool our capital, primarily financial capital. And then, of course, even if you're starting a business, you still need other people and strategic partnerships and resources to make that thing shake. So having a network of not only consumers, right, who may be interested in purchasing your product, but having individuals within a network who can contribute to producing and delivering this value of your product. And so that's where Breaux Capital also has a cooperatively owned and operated model, because it was important for us to make sure that that equity, which I had learned about at 17 years old, cutting that grass, right? That time freedom, that equity and creative control were two of the main things. And so it was like, treating people the way you want to be treated. And so I'm like, man, if I'm really bringing people into this business and we're really developing this thing out, we must make it, egalitarian from that standpoint. It must be unilateral.
Let me ask you a question. The model that you guys have, is it the same model you've always had?
Yeah, it is the same model we've always had. Yep. We came out the gate understanding that cooperative ownership is important. And that's, a central part of our ethos, going back to, before the camera started rolling, we were talking about when it's not about the money, it's easy to turn down checks, right? So when it's not, so for us, it's not about the money. So it's easy for us to bypass venture capital in this space. It's easy for us to not make it something to where we at the top, everybody else at the bottom, and we just eating off everybody, right? Breaux Capital wasn't even originally meant to be a business. It was originally meant to be sort of a business type of fraternity, a membership-based organization. But we quickly realized that, in order to have a viable organization, right, that we were going to have to generate revenue somehow. And so, we decided to, right, create an organization that was centered around the value of membership. And then, of course, we were able to sell membership into the organization. But from day one, everything has been cooperatively owned and operated. Shout out to me even having a co-founder, right, and two other co-founders that it was developed with. It wasn't a solo effort. So that Breaux ethos is really.
Who are your two co-founders? Let's just make sure we get them a shout out. Who are the two co-founders with you?
My two co-founders, got a shout out to bro Darius Quarles from the south side of Chicago. We met at Morehouse in 2010, actually. Ghana. We went to Ghana together as our first time out the country, and we kind of built rapport from there. But we ended up taking an entrepreneurship course in 2013 that led to the call that got me down to Kentucky building business. And then also shout out to my bro Brian B-Dub Williams. I met B-Dub at Morehouse. I was an English tutor, and B-Dub was one of the students who would come in and, you know what I'm saying, get his writing tailored. And we kind of just developed a friendship and a rapport from, you know, him coming in and getting A's on his papers after, you know, we went over him. So shout out to B-Dub. Both went to Morehouse. So the three founders of Breaux Capital went to Morehouse College.
Morehouse, man. I heard that. And also, man, we got to make sure that we bring Terrance on. Terrance came around a little bit later. So how far down the line after Breaux Capital was established did you come aboard, Terrance?
Yeah, I came aboard probably about less than a year later in 2017, because Breaux Capital first had its, you know, its founding in October of 2016, and I came on in the Q1 of 2017. So, you know, right when I really heard that they was getting things going. You know, shout out to my line brother, you know, Malcolm Clyburn, you know, introducing me to the Bros. Well, I already knew the Bros from Morehouse because I'm also a Morehouse man, right? But introducing me to the concept, I was like, yo, let's run it. And then that's when I came on board there in 2017, and I've been rocking with the Bros since.
All right, Terrance, we gotta back up just for a second with you and tell everybody your background, where you from originally, where'd you go to school? Because for those out here listening or watching, Terrance is living, breathing Black history, man. We're gonna get into that a little bit, but tell us about your upbringing. Where are you from?
Man, so I was born in Durham, North Carolina, and my roots, and you know, Ras can speak upon this as well, because he has similar roots as well. My roots is coming straight from Haiti. Haiti, if y'all familiar with Haiti, is one of the original Black Wall Streets that was kind of centered here in Durham. A collection of communities, more specifically a Black community, of a collection of businesses, vibrant businesses that was pretty much had created that blueprint of economic sustainability here in Durham. So my grandma was raised in Haiti. She moved here when she was, you know, just an infant, and, you know, pretty much spent majority of her life here. Came out of Durham, lived here for the first 8 years of my life. Then my father, he moved us to Virginia for a little bit. So Lynchburg, Virginia, spent some time there. And then I was really made in the Bay Area, California, in Fairfield, California. I moved out there when I was about 13, spent, you know, all of my high school time there, and then made my way to Atlanta, Georgia to go to Morehouse. And really, it was a unique journey to kind of get me to Morehouse. You know, coming out of, you know, high school, I was, you know, number 3 in my class. I pretty much could have went anywhere in the nation. I had a congressional nomination to go to West Point. Had full ride to go to Howard. You know, I had, you know, rides to go to Duke, Carolina, pretty much all the UCs in California. But it was really my pastor, Pastor Claiborne Lee, who was also a Morehouse man, who really, really was like, yo, I want you to check out Morehouse. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first went to go visit the house, you know, stepping on that campus, my mom kind of messed up. She messed up because she sent me over to Georgia Tech at first. Sent me over to Georgia Tech. So I'm looking at all those amenities, and then, you know, I go to the house, and I'm like, okay, Mom, you know, I have the opportunity to go here, but, you know, you telling me that, you know, I need to, you know, focus on here, because, you know, when you really step onto, you know, Morehouse campus, actually, and really look at it coming from a perspective of going and seeing all the technology and all the amenities from, you know, a PWI such as Georgia Tech, it kind of screws your mindset a little bit. But, you know, I want to just give a major shout out to my pastor again to really instill that spirit, right? That spirit of the Morehouse mystique into me before I even was really enrolled in there, to really change my lens. And it was one night where I was like, yo, I need another flight, go back out there. and she gave me a red eye. We went back out there. I stepped on that campus again. I was like, nah, this is where I need to be. So I ended up going to Morehouse, majored in physics and mathematics. And then right after that, ended up going to Duke and becoming the first African-American to graduate with my master's in BME. And
yeah,
you know,
I just want to make sure we highlight that because, you know, this is 2020, right? So, and the first Black person went to Duke, 50 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm. And undergrad, yeah, the first.
So out of any
class,
yeah. So, but you're the first African-American or Black man, I should say, to graduate from that program in Duke's history, right?
Yeah. Master's in BME.
That's amazing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing, man. Congratulations. And salute to you for that.
Tell the people what BME. Tell the people what BME means.
So BME is biomedical engineering. So it's taking the biomedical sciences and connecting it to the aspects of engineering. I'm currently still in that field, more specifically in regenerative medicine and tissue engineering. So yeah, that's where we rock.
Oh man, that's amazing, man. That's definitely dope, man. So, and you said you came aboard Breaux Capital when you saw what they were building, and you knew them. You're a Morehouse man, and you saw what happened. You jumped aboard right away, and you've been rocking ever since, right?
Yeah, man. I've been rocking ever since, man. And really, like 2017 was really just a unique time for me. I didn't really go into depth about, more on the aspect of my background and how, I was kind of caught into, the intersectionality and of, living in different cultures. And, I gave a little bit of background of how I moved to different cities, experienced different cultures, but I didn't necessarily hone in on the fact that, my parents really raised me to live in that duality. And what I mean by that duality is that growing up, I was really always only the Black kid, in my class, in my neighborhoods. I grew up in the suburbs, but my parents always made sure I was in the inner cities, whether it was inner city sports, whether my friend groups, my circles, my social circles outside of academics was always in the inner city. In high school, I was, the only Black kid in AP classes. So, come lunchtime, I had to say bye to my homies and I had to go to class, you feel me? And I really didn't only got to see them during lunch or, on that sports. Still, I played basketball, baseball, and football growing up. So I always had to kind of straddle both worlds. And it wasn't really until, I went to Morehouse, and this was really another reason why I went to Morehouse, because I really wanted to finally be able to embed myself, not only just on the social construct and on the quote unquote, the sports world with my people, but I wanted to study with my people. I wanted to get that academic viability with my people, right? Morehouse was the first chance that I got there. And then going to Duke after Morehouse, I found myself back in that middle ground of straddling both worlds, where I'm in classes, I'm on a campus where it's not, a lot of people that look like me, that, that think like me, that's, embedded in the same cultural aspects that I'm in on the academic side. Right. But I was spending most of my time in North Carolina Central. I am a part of Omega Psi Phi. So I was over there with my brothers from Tall Psi, every day after class. Right. Just so I can just feel with my people.
How difficult was that, though? How difficult was that when you're as accomplished as you are? Obviously, you're a bright young man, but that culture difference and having to study with folks that don't look like you. How difficult was that for you?
Man, it was difficult. It was definitely difficult. Definitely, being at Duke, man. And it's let me just say this, Duke has really come a long way. And, because I was able to kind of pave that path at Duke, they start to see, the experiences that, Black students experience there, man. There was times where, I wasn't really accepted into, study groups. I didn't really get those resources that that was afforded to a lot of students because of my differences, man. I remember specifically one time I went and I was taking a neuroscience class, and I was asking, we had study groups for this, and I was like, hey, y'all about to have a study group tonight, and it was like we're gonna let you know. right? So it's coming around, about 8 p.m., 9 p.m. I'm hitting the chat. I'm like, yo, are y'all meeting up to study? Nobody's responding. So I'm like, all right, I'm about to just go study on my own. I go to the library and I run into the study group, and they have pretty much everything outlined on the board, right? So it's stuff like that, right? It's things like that, man. And then also, there was some instances where I'm going trying to get some help from the TA, or trying to get some help from a professor or whatnot. And one time one of the professors told me, was like, yo, where did you go to school? You should know this stuff. Right. And I'm like, I thought you was my teacher. You supposed to be teaching me this, right? That's why I'm here. And he's expecting me to already kind of know that. So it's certain little things like that I had to kind of navigate through, man. But going through that stuff and going through that journey, man, it only made me stronger, and it prepared me to step into corporate America and be able to navigate some of the similar instances in that manner, man. But it was difficult, but it was a fun journey. I wouldn't change it for the world, man. And I'm just glad I was able to build that bridge for others like me to come through, and for Duke to honestly recognize, some of the inequities that they may have from a cultural standpoint that don't make, the environment conducive for people like us, right? So I do want to give a shout out for Duke, that they do recognize that, and they have been working since I've been there, graduated in 2015, to fix some of those cultural things. So
yeah, man. Well, first off, man, just want to salute you for that, because like that's history right there, and you should be proud of yourself. And a lot of people will be better off because of you having that experience. But that's an interesting story right there, man. So let's talk about Breaux Capital, right? So you come aboard. Ras, let's go back to you for a second. Could you explain to our listeners and our viewers what exactly is Breaux Capital? We talk a lot about Breaux Capital and what you guys are building. And again, I want to salute all of you, because it's impressive to me to see brothers. I didn't know all you guys were Morehouse men, but just to see you guys build.
We do have many more bros who are not Morehouse men, but like Morehouse is a major part of our story, right? Shout out to the founders being Morehouse men, and we're building this thing out from a relationship, who do you know type of standpoint. It was real easy to call up the bros from Morehouse who we know will be able to contribute, and of course, we'll see the vision in Black men coming together, right? Because that was just the experience we had all just came from. So to answer your question, man, Breaux Capital, from an elevator pitch standpoint, right, is the world's first cooperatively owned and operated financial technology company, specifically designed to improve the financial wellness of Black men.
That's hard. It's hard, right?
Yo, that's hard as a bag of rocks. God,
yeah. So, but what I love about it is like we don't see these stories of Black men building together. Like you'll see tons of stories about us, like tearing each other down, and doing negative things to each other. But I've seen some of the things you guys are doing and how you guys work together, and it's very impressive. Which is why when I was talking to Ras about coming on, we were saying, hey, let's bring another bro on or some bros on, because what you guys are doing is amazing. So another thing I like about it is, in talking to you, Ras, is when you talk about capital, it's not just financial capital. Could you explain what you mean by capital?
Oh, certainly, man. It's funny. I was watching a Netflix documentary a couple of days ago about money, and it was breaking down. It said capital is anything that you can use to accomplish your goals, if I'm not mistaken, right? And to get from one end to the next end. And oftentimes, right, money is the most one of the easier vehicles to do that. You know what I'm saying? And to get from point A to point B. But we also know that a handshake can get you from point A to point B, or a good idea can get you from point A to point B. So thinking about it in terms of everything that we bring together, and Breaux Capital was inspired by one of the most commonly known sacred spaces for Black men, which is the barbershop. And so creating a space to where all of those good ideas, to where all of this capital, all of these resources, all of this money that we spend can be put together for a particular goal, for a desired end. And that's really what we are, is really creating that framework, that structure, so that Black men can collaborate to get money, to improve their position, to improve their communities together, right? And so that's where where capital meets community, in the sense that we all trying to get money, right? Because we not fools. We understand how important money is to just life and sustainability, right? But at the same time, making sure that this wellness extends beyond just ourselves, right? We want the same thing for our neighbors, and for our family and our entire community. So how do we create that? And then we really just decided that starting with Black men was extremely important, because we were founded in 2016 when Hillary Clinton was running for president. Black women had just been named the fastest growing entrepreneurial subset demographic, right? And then, of course, beyond that, Black women are the most educated demographic in the United States. So Black women handling their business, Black women doing their thing. And so it's like, man, with Mike Brown had just been murdered, Philando Castile had just been murdered, Alton Sterling, right? And so all of these brothers are in the news for these tragedies, while Black women are in the news for all these accomplishing these major feats. And not saying that these brothers brought these calamities upon themselves, but we truly understood that it was time for us to come together and create spaces to where at the very least that we could talk about these things, and really build sustainable solutions against them, right? Because after the protesting is over, after the marchers go home, now what do we do? You know what I'm saying? What's really going on? And so for us, Breaux Capital is our sustainable resistance to all of the malarkey and the extra stuff that's going on, and just coming with the American history and American system. That's really what Breaux Capital is. So I'm gonna talk to.
Yeah, that's dope. And what's interesting about what you just said is that one of the books I read this year is a book called Family Wealth. It's by a guy named James Hughes. And I thought I was going to sit there and read the book. It was going to be about like wills and estates and trust. And one of the biggest things I took from that book was he talked about, to build a family legacy, you have to leave other things outside of financial capital. And he talked about family structures and focusing so much on the financial capital that you forget these other things, which are some of the things you're talking about. So he says, even when building a unit as a family, you should focus on more than financial capital. Because a lot of times people are able to build up this capital financially and leave it to their kids, but all they do is leave them money without leaving those other things in them. And that's why, they say it's gone within a couple generations because of that, right?
Yeah, that definitely happened to my family, bro, where my great grandfather, was an amazing businessman, right? Had a whole lot of things going, pass it on to his children. And some of them knew how to keep it rolling, some others didn't. Right. And so it's kind of like I'm that third generation. So I have a little something to start with, but it's not as much as it could have been if the previous generations had been taught how to do X, Y, Z. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's really important for me to, give back to my youngins, and shout out to Corey for imparting some knowledge into me about, how to really get it out the game. And so, just passing that on to the next generation. And totally, I think this is another piece that about Breaux Capital is that we came into the game, again, my background is sociology. And so I wasn't a finance guy, right? I opted out of economics to study sociology. So I never built myself as a finance expert. My thing was always, just sharing what I have, right? Whereas like, I may not know everything, but I may know something that you don't know. You know what I'm saying? You may know overall more than me, but I still have this little piece that you don't know. So let me just go ahead and share that. And so for us, it was about getting that group together where we could all just exchange resources and knowledge and plugs. And, what I'm saying? We tossing each other alley-oops all day and creating a system to facilitate that. So for a long time, man, Breaux Capital was very nebulous, because it was just this place to where Black men were just collaborating in all types of ways and, making money together, doing all types of things. And so it's still in that vibe, but we've actually been able to pinpoint these areas more so that we can scale them up and create more impact. And so with that being said, man, we've grown like never before, man, this past quarter. So our fiscal year starts in April, and May, June, and July, man, we've had the most bros come on consecutively in those months. So we had averaging around 6 bros per month that are coming on, you know, to join it. So it's real cool, man. It's real cool.
Man, that's dope. And let me ask you a question, because it's, I mean, it sounds like you gotta go through like a background check. What kind of when people enter the bros, like, is it like some secret initiation that's going on with the bros, man?
What's the secret handshake? What's the secret handshake?
Know, right? I know, right?
Secret bro handshake.
It's funny, man. It's funny because we wanted it to have that vibe, right? Because, you know, just to give you an idea, Jonah Berger's book Contagious, shout out to Nipsey Hussle, around how to create a brand and a business that's going to be sticky and people want it. And, you know, having that element of mystique to it, right? Early on around, like, you know, we not a secret society, but we a society with secrets type of deal. You know what I'm saying? But it's really getting to a point to where we not, you know, it's you know, we have multiple layers of membership, right? So to be a shareholding member of Breaux Capital, to be that cooperatively owned and operated member, there's a little bit more vetting that goes into place there. But if you're joining the network as a non-shareholding member and taking advantage of, you know, the community, the education and resources, and just all of the capital that we've aggregated, then, you know, that's a whole nother story. But at the end of the day, even if you want to be a shareholding member, it's not a process to where you got to walk on hot coal and, you know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you a question, Terrance. So I understand that it was like, you know, you saw your Morehouse brothers building this out, but and we know you experienced it in Duke University, but what was it about it that drew you there, and what has been your experience since becoming a bro?
Man, what really drew me there, man, I was really kind of looking just for that vessel to build and to really build community. You know, coming out of Duke and then really stepping into, you know, corporate America, more specifically the sciences, and being in that space once again, where, you know, I'm looking around, I'm really one of the only ones, man. I felt times where I was just like powerless. And, you know, this was also around, you know, a lot of those times where, you know, Baltimore was burning. You was having a lot of, you know, racial and social, you know, tension that was occurring on. And, you know, I'm sitting from my place of just comfortability, you know, having a little bit of money in my pockets, you know, being in the pharma and biotech industry and really just seeing my people suffering. Right. And I'm like, yo, like, I can be, you know, like the talented 10th, then I can just sit here, and really, you know, reap the benefits of, you know, capitalism, reap the benefits of, you know, having my master's, being in the biotech, you know, industry, and just turn my other head and be like, yo, that's their problem, not mine. But I always known, I was like, I'm really never going to get respect in this place unless I can show that I can really build for my people and really build for my community. And I would never, ever feel comfortable in my own skin knowing that, yo, I'm sitting up here while these people that I claim that I love, these people that look like me, these people that, you know, I've been around my entire life is really suffering. And I was really just kind of just asking myself on the daily, like, what can I do?
I want you to explain something you just said. You just said something that's very powerful that I caught. Mm-hmm. You said that you could have, because of the situation, the position you were put in, you could have just lived an amazing life, right? But you knew that as long as your people suffered, it didn't matter what you were able to accomplish as an individual. Just break down that thought process and what you mean by saying that, because I think that's very powerful and also very important.
Facts, man. So what I mean by that is, like, so Marcus Garvey, he actually speaks on this, right? And he says that it's ignorant for the Black man to fully assimilate and integrate before gaining respect of the entire body, right? And what he necessarily means by that is, when we try to assimilate and when we try to come to the table with, quote unquote, the other, you know, races, and I say quote unquote the other races because we know that race is a man-made concept. It's not real. It's a system of division. But when you come to, you know, that table, right, and you're trying to build with other quote unquote races, you know, they're not going to necessarily respect you. And the reason why they're not going to necessarily respect you is because you have not been able to create any type of system of government or any type of system of economics for your own people. And I really, first, got an instance of this when, I'm in corporate America. I'm hitting all the metrics. I'm hitting everything that they tell me to do, and I'm blowing it out the water. As a black man, when you step in, you got to do things 5 times better. And I'm blowing it out the water, and I'm asking for more and more and more and more. And it got to a place where, I started finding myself getting boxed in. And I wasn't getting in those positions of leadership. I wasn't getting in those positions of being, a manager or, a supervisor. And I'm like, yo, I really want these tools. And I was told, if you feel like you can't get those tools that you want here, go outside and get them. Right. And to me, what that registered to me was like, I'm not going to trust you to run our systems. And we know what we mean by our systems until you can show me you can run your own. And then that's why I was like, okay,
man,
I need to go.
That's powerful, man. Woo! Man, that's powerful. I hope everybody watching or listening understands what this brother is laying out right here, because you're absolutely correct, man. Like, it doesn't matter what you can do as an individual. It's about the collective. Which is why what all you guys are doing is so powerful, because you're coming together.
I want you to slow down there. It does matter what you do individually, because you can't get to the point where you can help other people till you can help yourself. So he helped himself first, and then he put his
absolutely
to help other people.
But what? No, that's true. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter, because he could have helped himself, like he said, and just went ahead and turned his back, and his personal life would have been amazing. You know what I mean? But you understand the bigger game that's being played. And I think a lot of folks in that position, wouldn't have made the decision to build. They would have turned their back and, just completely went about their business and looked out for self. It's a lot of rugged individualism in our community, and that's problematic. Man, kudos to you for understanding the bigger picture.
Facts, man. And definitely, man, I think what you're trying to hit on, man, is really just black capitalism, man. And we see a lot of instances where, a lot of our brothers and sisters have gone in such a way where they use the story of the oppressed to become the oppressor of their own. And man, that is whew. That's
heavy. You know what's really heavy about that? What's heavy about that is a lot of people, that's what they want. They want when they think about what they want in life. They're striving for it. Yeah, so that's heavy what you just said.
Yeah, man. But when you strive for that, what change are you truly creating, man? You're not. You're just becoming the thing that you hated. The thing that you constantly said that you was gonna work hard to eradicate. Right.
Yep.
And then you became.
So, man. So listen. So now you guys are bringing on lots of bros. So what is in the count up now? Like your organization, how many members are of their Breaux Capital? What's that look like now in 2020? So we're in August 2020. What's that look like now?
Man, when it comes to shareholding members, we are hovering right around 40. We're like a little bit over 40. So I want to say we may be like coming into 43, and I think we got 44 and 45 already on the calendar for the month of August. So yeah, man, we about to crack that 50 threshold in a second, man, across the entire United States. Got bros on the continent of Africa, bros in the UK. Shout out to one of our bros is actually in Pakistan right now. So yeah, man, from like literally from coast to coast, man, and we've got hubs. What we call hubs are places where 2 or more bros are living. So we got hubs in LA. There, Tucson, Arizona is a hub. Tucson, shout out to Tucson, is actually a very strong hub, and shout out to the Sugar Hill neighborhood in particular. Chicago is a hub. Got the West Side and the South Side on lock. Cleveland, Ohio is a hub. Shout out to my hometown. One of my bros, well, 2 of my bros actually from school recently joined the squad. From elementary school, right? They came on. So New Orleans is also a hub. The DMV is a hub. Atlanta's a hub. And I want to say the tri-state. Oh, shout out to Raleigh-Durham, right? I'm out here leaving out T White. Shout out to Chef Melody and Laurencio out of Raleigh-Durham. So yeah, man, we across the nation right now, man, and it's it's a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful thing to see, man. And just the bros, you know, get the value, and the bros that's been on with us, like T White, you feel me, essentially since day one. Because it's one thing for me to tell you about, oh, this thing is so great and we built it up, right? But for somebody to come on after things were somewhat already rolling, but to still, you know, come on and be with us from day one, man. Like our retention rate, that's really one of the things I'm really proud of, is that from a sociological standpoint, my thing was, how do we build an organization that, you know, really keeps people and people really see the value in it, and we're continuously creating that value and delivering that value. And yeah, man,
I have a question. How do you use the services of Breaux Capital? So if I say, all right, I'm a young black businessman, and I'm looking for a place to help build my business, and I see the bros, and I say, all right, this is a place where I want to go. Walk me through the process of helping a black business, you know, without giving away the trade secrets of how to do it. Walk me through what that process would look like.
Word. T White, you want to take this one, or you want me to tackle it?
Man, you can go ahead and tackle it, and then I tell my own personal.
Okay.
You know,
Right. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, you know, from your personal story. But so if, as a black man, right, first things first is joining Breaux Capital so that you can get the full benefits of Breaux Capital. And I'm gonna say that you are an intelligent investor, so you want the equity of the situation. You don't want to just come on, you see where Breaux Capital is going, and you're like, I want my piece, right? So first and foremost, you join Breaux Capital. The next thing is, right, we get you automating your cash reserve fund. So essentially, we've had bros who, and that's really one of our primary services, is allowing you to build up that cash reserve, because of course the data says that, you know, 70+% of millennials, and it's even higher for black millennials, and particularly black men, don't have enough cash on hand to handle $1,000 emergency. Right. And so that's one of the very first things that we get you on board, is automating that savings to build up that cash reserve fund. Now, after you got the capital on hand and you're contributing to the Breaux fund, right? Shout out to leverage, because you're now contributing, you have the opportunity to get your business invested in, and of course, you know, to reap all the benefits there, right? So let's say you putting in your 1,000 and now you have access to hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Hypothetically speaking. And then of course, the next thing is the education, as we kind of mentioned earlier, is that business development, right? How to sharpen your business model, how to hone your business model. That education is there. And then of course, us in the organization, as we're having conversations back and forth in the app, you know, we can go over these things. And then of course, that last piece is, as a business owner, right, is the actual community of the bros. So for example, you're and this is a real life case study, you're expanding your business, right, and you want to move down to Atlanta, but you're in, let's say, Cleveland, Ohio, and you need boots on the ground to be able to go check out a commercial spot, or to give you kind of intel on what the landscape looks like. You can reach out to one of the bros on the contact list. Boom, you can make it happen, get boots on the ground. So really, from those three elements of the financial capital piece, right, helping you develop your own cash reserve and your own capital. So we've had bros who've put down their first down payment on their first home, or bros who've lost their job and had to draw from their Breaux fund, or bros who've you know, had an unexpected education expense, bros who, you know, paid off debt, or bros who've even invested in other opportunities, right, because they've had, you know, they were outside of Breaux because they had that cash on hand. And that's totally fine. That's exactly what we're here for. Anytime that somebody's, you know, withdrawing from the Breaux fund, it means that, you know what I'm saying, they had something that they, you know, needed to handle. And the fact that we were able to have that there for them is a testament to the viability of it. So cash reserve, education and resources, and then also the community. And I say education and resources because not only do we have education, but the resources come in to where, for example, if we're vetting some companies, right, as an organization, right, as an entire group, then after that work is done, you have access to that data as a member of Breaux Capital. So we vetted and, you know, 100+ of the best ETFs, right? You know, we got that spreadsheet. Now you have access to that because you're a member. And then, of course, going back to you as a shareholding member, because you're a smart man who can identify an opportunity, you've now got equity in Breaux Capital. you are entitled to dividend share, at the end of the fiscal year, and then also revenue share opportunities with the various businesses that we're building. So that's equity as a first owner, right? So people often ask, so what's the first thing that you invest in, when you're investing in Breaux Capital? As a shareholding member, first thing you're investing in is Breaux Capital itself. And then, of course, that entitles you to those dividends at the end of the fiscal year if they're, surplus of revenue. And then, of course, at the very end of it all, having that opportunity for revenue share to where if you're developing a business within Breaux Capital, an idea and taking that to the marketplace, and it's something that's inside the fold, you have opportunities for revenue share off of that opportunity. So, yeah, man. And then, of course, you had the opportunity to sell merchandise like this hat here and get your cut off that as well. So, yeah, man, just create opportunities for the bros to, just to get money. Again, man, it's about just facilitating that interaction, not necessarily leading it, but however y'all want to play it, you know what I'm saying? We got the system set up that's going to make it happen.
And I'm gonna piggyback off that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, tell us your story.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell my own personal story as a user, man, and a co-owner of Breaux Capital of what Breaux Capital has done for me and what it means for me, and what Ras was really speaking on, man. He kind of touched on every single form of capital, those 8 form of capitals that Breaux Capital is really built upon. And I'm kind of just gonna go through each one and kind of explain how each one has impacted me. A lot of us, we tend to focus on, 2 of them, that material and that financial, but, Breaux Capital has been so much more to me outside of those things. Yeah. I've been able to, create a nice little savings, within the Breaux Fund, as well as, help create and curate, material assets, utilizing Breaux, man. But I want to really talk about the intellectual capital that Breaux Capital brings to me, man. When I'm on these calls weekly, right? I'm on the calls with some intelligent brothers, man. Like from Rise to DQ to B-Dub to BT, man. Like every time I'm on a call with them and they really get to spitting their knowledge, man, my knowledge increases that much. You feel me? So we really have that environment where we transcend each other. Yeah, we like-minded, but we still have different perspectives that we come to the table with. And we share our different perspectives and we transcend to really that golden perspective, man. So that intellectual capital that's stored within there, that expertise within each one of our industries, man, really just uplifts us and empowers us. From a social, construct, man, like just the social networking and just us coming together as bros, as brothers, man, it means so much, man. Like when you step out into, this world, and when you step out into corporate America, you really are the only one, man. It's draining. It's taxing. You constantly, find yourself in spaces like, am I adequate? Am I enough? Right. Your confidence, gets depleted. Right. And as any type of, vessel, any type of person on this world, if you don't have confidence, man, you really a misfit in society. So when we have our meetings, when we have our all membership calls, when we have our operational meetings, when we're tapping in with each other, every week and just saying, yo, bro, how are you? You feel me? That's truly empowering. It refuels me. It refuels us such that we can really go out here and really continue to build for our people. And that also, steps onto just the spiritual aspect, man. I'm real big on energy, right? Real big on energy. And we're not energy vultures to each other, right? We don't soak each other's energy. We don't kill each other's energy, man. We revive each other's energy, and we just really just keep that joint kind of moving, kind of going, and just the overall culture, bro, it's amazing. It's a culture of respect. It's a culture of love, and it's a culture of, hey, we're gonna build this thing slow. We're gonna build this thing steady. We're gonna build this thing sustainable, and then also like hitting on just that last form of capital of experimental, right? Bro allows the creators just to get jiggy with it, to experiment. To launch MVPs, to launch merch, you feel me? To launch the Black Men's Library and really be able to play with it, to curate it such that it fits us, man. And it's just a playground of, the 8 forms of capital that's truly empowering, man. And bro, like it's so much more than the money. It's so much more than the money. The money is really just cool. So yeah.
That's
amazing.
Can you explain to me the Black Man's Library? That's something I was interested in. a bibliophile myself. What is the Black Men's Library?
Man, so the Black Men's Library is something that we actually just launched this month, and it's really a space for Black men to come together and take a deep dive into the blueprints that our ancestors left us. Man, currently, right now, we're on our first book, Marcus, the philosophy and opinions of Marcus Garvey, and really we're just coming together as men just to go back into that history, to get those pieces of history such that we can pay forward the future, man. And that's essentially what it is. It's a forum. It's a forum. It's a group for us to dive in and get that blueprint from our people.
Okay, so, yeah. That's dope. And that's a great book to start with. I read that book. It's funny because you really can't say you read that book. I've read the book, but I always go back to it to read specific passages. Like it's one of those things where you don't read it one time. That's not one of those books you read one time. Yeah. See, he laid the blueprint down. He's the real blueprint. Yeah, man. Listen, this is amazing, man. This has been an amazing conversation, man. I'm like beaming with pride, like listening to you guys. I love what you're doing. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you guys are doing everything the right way, man. But tell me about the future of Breaux Capital. Like, are you going to cap the number of members, or what's the future look like for Breaux Capital from both of your perspectives? And Rosh, you can start us off.
I was about to say, man, that's a great question. And as one of the founders of Breaux Capital, I certainly came into Breaux Capital with a particular vision, but at the same time, I made sure that I've been open and flexible to allowing it to grow. And you know what I'm saying? And when the bros get their hands on it, right, are able to just run with it and take it in that same direction. But you know what I'm saying? It may be a little 2 clicks to the left or something like that, but still understanding that we going in the same place. But if for Breaux Capital into the future, man, and will we cap it? The question around will we cap it? We will be capping shareholding membership. So shareholding membership will not always be available. And I'm actually excited that, I get to share this information, shout out to the exclusive on the BuyTheHood platform, is that shareholding membership in Breaux Capital will not always be available. And it's projected that shareholding membership, those spots for shareholding membership will be filled by the end of this year. So like I said, we already at 40. There are 9 spots left for shareholding membership.
Oh, okay. So, you getting close to that.
Yeah, we're getting close to that. But of course, right, going back to our origin and our founding, we originally came in the game as thinking that we were going to be an investment club, but we found that according to SEC regs, investment clubs only hit, after you hit 100 members, that 101st member, you're no longer considered an investment club. You're something completely different, right? And so we decided that no, we are not an investment club. We're moving away from that investment club designation because we still see the opportunity for our members to grow beyond that. And so really, Breaux Capital, as I mentioned, is an international organization. Right now, we are an international financial brotherhood, if you will, right now, or I'll say a capital brotherhood to be more specific. But I think kind of like, taking inspiration from y'all, and shout out to what y'all are doing and how y'all have been able to have such a magnificent presence in Philly, right? Because y'all know that area, y'all know those people, right? Y'all know the history. And so for Breaux Capital, it's really incumbent upon us to have more of a hyper local focus. So as I mentioned, we have hubs across the country. And now, having that groundswell in these different areas to speak to, right, the real estate opportunities that are in Cleveland, to speak to the real estate opportunities that are in Arizona, or to speak to, the farming opportunities in Natchez, Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? Where we got broke right now. So being able to just be more entrenched in those communities, that's really where we're going. So to really have a franchise chapter model, and that goes into, again, where you can join Breaux Capital, right, as a company right now, but into the future, and most likely after this year, right, because there's only 9 spots left, you'll have to join Breaux Capital Atlanta, or you'll have to join Breaux Capital Los Angeles. You won't be able to join, right, the original founding group. So that'll be reserved. So long story short, man, hyper local, you know what I'm saying? Being very targeted, giving folks that boutique, you know, this is my city experience. That's what we're looking for.
That's dope. And Terrance, what's your perspective on what you see for the future?
Man, what I see for the future is, you know, kind of piggyback on what Ras saying, man, is having really these different hubs really be able to build out, you know, those 8 forms of capital for themselves to come back to the actual collective, man. And my vision is always set, and the people's vision, man, is really, you know, honing on and providing and servicing what the people need. So, you know, Breaux Capital is going to go wherever the people calls it to go, because that's why we was formed, right? We was formed to service the need. So man, that's my vision, and my vision is always scale. My vision is to really, you know, just, you know, blow this up and really just create, you know, a vessel for everybody to get to, you know, economic sustainability in whatever form that needs to be.
I think T. White, that's a great point, man, that you made, that speaks to 2 facets of Breaux Capital, right? That first facet, as you mentioned, is that we were developed as a solution to a pervasive problem within our community. So however that problem continues to evolve, Breaux Capital will evolve right alongside with it, right? Because that was the purpose for us. But then on the flip side, right, taking it out of that pathos, taking it out of this is you know, really our heart's desire, right, to see this work being done and to see the effects of this work, taking it to a more cognitive side and just hardcore business science. Yeah, man, we got to keep the flexibility and not become a behemoth organization where we're bogged down and we can't make pivots according to what the market presents to us. And so that was another thing that made Breaux Capital different. And shout out to us for, you know, touching this 4-year mark, is that, you know, we came into the game totally from a scientific perspective, understanding that, yeah, we had some assumptions, but we're not going to move off these assumptions and these hypotheses until they're validated. And then beyond that, if we find some converse information that invalidates everything that we previously thought we knew, we're going to be flexible enough and have enough growth mindset to be able to go ahead and re-examine things. So to Terrance's point, to T. White's point, man, that's, you know, yeah, us being flexible into the future as an institution. And I'll say that again, we are an institution, right? And that's the language that I you know, from the studies, right? That's the language that gets people excited, you know, is the fact that in our time to where companies are being built for a 5-year turnaround, 2-year turnaround, and everything is ephemeral. Yesterday it was Vine, today is TikTok, right? People understanding that Breaux Capital is going to be here for the next 100 years and we really building it for 100 years and beyond. That I think that, you know, as an anchor, as a social anchor, gets them excited. But also to the other financial institutions in the space that have been around for 200 years, that have taken blood money from the slave trade, taken blood money from, you know, the indigenous people on this soil over here on this continent, and on other continents as well, right? When they hear this institution, they like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Rico from Big Head Rico from Belly, they don't like that. So they really know that we here, especially, you know, we talking this institution language. We, you know, we not an investment club. We not just a hedge fund. We not a VC firm. Like, no, we are a financial institution. And we're totally flipping the model on its head. As T. White mentioned earlier, like, of course, traditional capitalism, right, is, you know, I'm here and then I got workers here, right? Once we have that cooperatively owned and operated and we both here, right? The people who own it are also the people who are working it, are also the people who are using it. Then that's when it becomes much more of a, you know, traditional indigenous cycle and, you know, traditional way of just doing things.
Man, that's ill. Listen, man, again, what you guys are doing are amazing, man. We want to make sure that we definitely highlight you and follow what you're going to build now and 100 years from now.
Right.
But before we go, I got to ask you guys this question, man. I want each of you to give me a book that has inspired you along your journey. And we're going to start with you, T. White. What is a book? And I mean, you know, I know you've read a gazillion books. You just talked about, you know, the Black Man's Library. But what is a book that has inspired you along your journey?
Man, it's the book that I'm currently reading right now, man. Marcus Garvey, philosophy, man, and what's really why it's so empowering, because every single text in that book is giving me the answers I've been asking for, and giving me it be the reason why these things are occurring the way that they are, man. And it's so empowering. It's so empowering to find that, that answer to why. Because when you get that answer to why, you know what to do with it. So
that's an amazing body of work, and it just amazes me. Like when I read it, like, yo, he gave us the answers a long time ago.
Yeah, like he gave us the answers literally 100 years ago. He gave us the answers.
Yeah, we sitting there still looking, but the answers are right here. Right. Same question to you. What's a book or text or something that has inspired you along your journey?
Man, that's like you say, just one. That's really.
You can give a couple. You can give a couple. Give a couple of your favorites. A couple of your favorites.
Well, with that, I got to start off with the autobiography of Malcolm X for sure.
Yes,
that was definitely. I read that when I was like 17. I ain't ate pork since. You know what I'm saying? And also that was, I wrote about El-Haj Malik Shabazz for my essay into Morehouse College and end up graduating on May 19th in 2013, right? His birthday. So it was like a full circle moment. So I gotta say the autobiography of Malcolm X first. There's another book called Quantum Success that was it's like a little known book, and it was actually a lady from Ohio. I think she's from like Avon or something like that. But Quantum Success was really major because the way she broke it down. I also got to shout out Science of Self, Volume 1. Shout out to Dr. Supreme Understanding. Science of Self, Volume 1 is an amazing book. It really breaks down like all these different quantum theories and ideas, and then like really just makes them and puts them in plain English. I want to say another book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu.
That's hard.
That was one that, and it's one, like you say, you can go back to. You know what I'm saying? You don't just read it one time, because my man's was spitting real heavy. And like, you don't really catch it until you get into those situations, and hindsight is 2020. You're like, oh, that's what he was talking about with the high ground. Okay, I got it now. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And then I want to say two more would be The Community of Self by Dr. Naeem Akbar, and just the power of the will. That really that really blew my mind. And then the last one, man, I would say the 12 Universal Laws of Success.
Okay, that's a good one
too.
You
feel me? And then the very, very last one is The Science of Getting Rich by Y.B. Waddles.
Have you guys chosen? Yeah, that's fine. Listen, man, you know me. I love that, man. Have you guys decided what the next book is for your the Black Man's Library?
Powernomics.
Yo, it's crazy. I was trying to set it up to tell them. I was trying to set you up to say, listen, y'all should do Powernomics. I would love to hear your perspective.
I saw him rolling. I saw him rolling it down there for y'all, but you caught it right away.
Yeah. Listen, everybody who listens to our show or watches the show knows that, like, listen, I study Dr. Claude Anderson, and that is my single favorite text. That, and it sounds cliche, but that's a book that changed my life. That led me on my journey. So I was going to suggest that, but you already on it. It's too sharp, man. Let me ask you another question. Last question before we get you out of here, man, because you guys have accomplished a lot already in life. We love the institution that you're building. I can't wait to see this thing sprawl up across the country, because our brothers need it. And it's also proof. It's also proof that, listen, we can build together. We can build institutions together. We do work together, and there are a lot of us out there doing the work. Don't believe the stereotypes. With that being said, in your journey, what is the biggest hurdle that you've had to overcome? And Ras, I'll start with you. Like, what's a hurdle that you had to overcome, but you see yourself on the other side of it?
Man, so it's a story of get to college. It really, so, and it's kind of, this is really a major piece of my story. Okay, get to college. I got a 4.0 my freshman year, like first semester and second semester, right? Because I went there without scholarship dollars. So I'm doing my best to, get the scholarship up, right? So my dad don't have to pay out of pocket anymore, right? Because, you feel me? That's extremely expensive. So working on getting a scholarship. And shout out to, I went to college in 2008, so the economy tanked. So a lot of these corporate scholarships that were available a couple years before have dried up because they don't have any surplus to be given to the students, right? So my dad, he calls me, man, I'm in class and I'm up, and as many people would tell you, like the hardest thing about college is paying for it. It's not the actual class. You know what I'm saying? If you go to class, you work, you read, like it's simple, you know what I'm saying? But the hardest thing for many people is paying for it. And so at that particular time, my dad, instead of, you know, paying for my school, he decided that, you know, he wanted a new Cadillac. And so so I'm up here figuring out, I'm like, man, okay, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And you know, from that, I had already been working at NASA for like since I was 17. So I'm about, let's say, 19 years old right now, right? Been working at NASA since I was 17. Got the news when I'm 19. This is like my first semester of sophomore year, right? And so I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? One of my connects, shout out to a black man. I've had some great black men along the way as far as like mentors and like teachers and coaches and all that good stuff. So shout out to all the black men who have helped me along the way. One of my guys, Dr. Antoine Moss, he was like, yo, I got an opportunity for you to work at NASA. I hadn't even told him that my dad, you know, or that my situation as far as my finances was really messed up at the time. I hadn't told him any of that, right? And so he offered me the opportunity. So I started working at NASA. I took time off of school, right, to work at NASA full time for 6 months from July 2010 to January of 2011. Saved up all the ducats that I could possibly save up, and then took loans out to get back in school. But the funny thing is, once I got back in school, which a lot of people didn't think I was coming back because Morehouse has a terrible retention rate, just to be totally honest with you, as far as black men, you know, coming there, but not necessarily finishing. So when I left, you know, and then was able to come back, I think, you know, and just that story of like, you know, and so getting that experience at NASA allowed me and my brother to take that logistics knowledge and flip it into a transportation company, right? And so I was able to not only, you know what I'm saying, in that time, take time off of school, right? Get this NASA on my resume, get this experience under my belt, flip it into a business opportunity, but then still end up graduating. And the thing is, if I had graduated in 2012, I wouldn't have taken that entrepreneurship for non-business majors course, which means I wouldn't have had that class with Darius, which means that I wouldn't have been a $1 Million Scholar, which means that I wouldn't have, you know, started Breaux Capital the way it did. So me taking that time off of school really actually like set up everything else. And I, you know, of course had to maintain, which easier said than done, maintain my positive attitude through the whole thing and not like, you know, be discouraged, beat myself up, or, you know what I'm saying, be upset at my dad because this and that. It's like, nah, like everything happened for the best. You know, how am I going to leverage this situation to put me on top? And everything is, you know, hindsight is 2020. All the dots connect in retrospect. So after taking that time off of school, man, just understanding that it really set me up for everything else. So long story short is that taught me that even when things look crazy and everything look like it's crumbling, it's going to make sense down the line. So just keep moving forward, keep handling business, and it's all going to make sense later. So that's my story, taking time off of school, you know, financial hardship, but kind of set up the rest of my 20s.
Yo, shout out to Pops for getting that caddy, man. I hope the caddy was
fire.
I know,
right? You still got it with the white wall.
Yeah, right?
That's an interesting story, man. And you guys, man, all you bros are so like, you know, you're some smart gentlemen and you're so humble. My man said, yeah, you know, I worked at NASA since he talked about it like it's just nothing, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like crazy. I worked, you know what I mean? I'm the first person who ever graduated from this program. Like y'all just so nonchalant with it. Y'all really accomplished dudes. Like y'all really accomplished people. And so,
like I know the other bro was the founder. He's like a Gates Millennium Scholar, right?
Two of the bros, the other two bros who were not able to be here with us today are Gates Millennium Scholars. Absolutely.
I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like you guys are accomplished, man. T. White, man. Let's get back to you, T. White. What has been the biggest hurdle or something that you had to overcome to get you to where you are today? And I mean, you gave us a lot already, but I don't know if that was the biggest hurdle because you know, I can understand how that could be stressful, like mentally. But is that your biggest hurdle, or is it something else?
my biggest hurdle is something I deal with every day, my guys. And, you know, it's crazy. I was having a conversation with some friends a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, I see and I understand, you know, why the Talented Tim did what they did. You feel me? You know, W.E.B. Du Bois really, really, you know what I'm saying? He came to a place in his life where he looked at the Talented Tenth and he was like, man, y'all didn't do what we were set out to do. And that was to educate ourselves such that we can go back and uplift the rest of our, you know, the rest of our race, the rest of our people. And, you know, I kind of understand it, because when you get to a certain place, man, and when you build, and the more assets and the more, you know, wealth and the more education to build, the more conserve that you get, the more you get to a place that you want to preserve it and you don't want to jeopardize that, right? And then when we look at, you know, just the historical context of, you know, a lot of our, you know, our leaders from, you know, Malcolm X, and even what happened to, you know, Nipsey, you know, last year, it was his own people, you know what I'm saying, our own people that, you know, kind of, you know, cut our lifeline off, man. So, you know, my biggest hurdle that I deal with every day, man, is just the fear that through my love of trying to go back and really helping my people, to help build for my people, that it will be my own people that bring my own destruction. And I talk to my girl about this every week, and she says, Terrance, you got to stop putting that out into the air. I got to stop putting that out into the air. But it's a real reality, man. Like, I know y'all, you know, y'all try to go help, you know, a cousin out or a friend out. You feel me? There's been times where, you know, they really kind of compromise you, and kind of not just on compromise you, compromise everything that you kind of built, right? And you have to go back and build that strength that was like, all right, man, like, I gotta make this work. Because if we don't make it work,
I appreciate you sharing it. I really do appreciate you sharing that, because like, if someone says they don't have those thoughts, they're lying, right? Because and me and Corey talk about this. Like, we could take what we do and just go off into the sunset and never talk to anyone. But it's always like keeping that goal in mind and keeping that focus in mind of the people that we want to help, and understanding the situation on a macro level and what needs to be done, man. So I really appreciate you sharing that, because that's real. That's real.
Our people, man, we deal with so much trauma. We deal with so much trauma. Trauma comes out, bro. Like,
yeah, man. And the last thing, I know I said that was my last question. I got one more question, just because I heard his name mentioned several times on this talk we had. I want to know what Nipsey meant to you guys, because both of you mentioned Nipsey throughout this interview, and it's just interesting to hear that. And, you know, so what did he mean to you in terms of what you're building? You know, the generation that you guys are a part of. What did Nipsey mean to you, Ras? Let's start with you, because I've heard his name a couple times.
Yeah, man, you got me about to, you know, shed tears out here, man. No, real talk, because it's so funny, because you know, that was one of the things that you know, Nipsey's untimely passing really had me realize. I didn't realize how much bro meant to me until he was no longer here. And so I got hip to Nipsey back in 2008, right? He's, you know, right in line with my Morehouse story of, see, you know, around all these other black men from the country, and we bringing our music down. So it's 2008, 2009. I'm from Cleveland. I'm bringing the Kid Cudi. You know what I'm saying? My homies from DC, they talk about Wale, and my other homies, they from LA, they talking about Nipsey Hussle. So I start listening to Nip's music, and I'm like, man, this is the perfect balance of get money, gangster rap, as well as, you know, resistance rap. I'm like, man, this dude is obviously smart and he can rap. And Mailbox Money in 2014 was the album that came out right when we were building $1 Million Scholar and experiencing what led to the creation of Breaux Capital. So that music of Mailbox Money and equity is the highest form of business, and how much did you gross, and, you know, the people that, the main quote, the people that create the business models, right? The business model innovation, not product innovation, business model innovation will be the ones that rule the future. When we launched Breaux Capital, Slawson Boy 2 came out, right? So Ocean Views was on there, and just how he was just be talking about equity and, you know what I'm saying, business. Like, I never heard, even Jay-Z is folks, you know, Harold, Jay-Z is this major business mind. Hov there really get into the language and the jargon of business. You know what I'm saying? He'll talk about hustling, right? And he'll talk about these principles and concepts, but he wasn't talking about equity in songs, you know what I'm saying? And these deals that he was making and so on and so forth. So shout out to B-Dub again, who's not here right now, but he actually got a chance to take a picture with Nipsey in a Breaux Cap, you know, back when he was visiting New York on a press run or whatever. But yeah, man, Nip, and it's so crazy because when I got the news, you know what I'm saying, I had just finished Tech Groove, which is a Breaux and company, which is one of the investments of Breaux Capital, right? Tech Groove had just finished our second day event. And so I'm sitting down, opening up my computer. I'm like, finally, I get to take a load off. Then I open up my computer and I see the news about Nip. And I just immediately got a pain in my left knee. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting down, but it was like I didn't know what to do. And I just felt pain in my knee. Like, man, this has really hit me. So, and it was so crazy because Nip really, he inspired all of the Black men in my circle, even those who aren't in Breaux Capital, to reach out to one another and be like, bro, man, I love you. Like, you know what I'm saying? We never know when it's going to be that time. We always think we got more time, but I just wanted to hit you up and tell you, you know what I'm saying? Keep going. I love you. You know what I mean? It was like, yo, back at you, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, just to be totally honest with you, man, Nip meant a lot. And I think
I could tell both of you guys have brought him up throughout this talk. So I already knew what it was. That's why I asked the question. T White, what did Nip mean to you?
Man, Nip, man, he was a symbol. And what I mean, he was a symbol for love for your community, love for your people, and love for your craft, man. And I really didn't really start honing into, you know, all aspects of Nipsey until after his death, right? Just listening to, you know, Lauren London, listening to the people around him and the different stories, man. I just really started seeing, you know, a connection, a true connection, and just from his vibrations of how he treated his people, how he treated his girl, how he treated his kids, how he treated his community, how he hustled on that corner and created his own store. You feel me? Because during that time where, you know, Nipsey was actually, I remember the night he was killed. My girl, she woke me up and she just started crying. And I'm like, yo, girl, why you crying? And she was like, because, you know what I'm saying, you know, this could happen to you as well, because me and my cousin actually just launched our own brick and mortar store. You feel me? Mm-hmm. Trying to, you know, give back and trying to, you know, to rock for the community. You feel me? And when, you know, she woke me up that night, I just felt his spirit. And I really just started honing in on him and his whole mentality. And man, and bro, he got me just listening to him, listening to his music, listening to, you know, his stories. He really got me through a lot last year, man. So, you know, it's more so his spirit and how he treated the people around him and what he did for his community that really, really empowers me when it came to Nipsey, man.
Yeah, man, I could tell just through the interview and the way you guys mentioned him. That's what made me want to ask that question, man. And rest in power to Nipsey, man. Man, this has been an amazing talk, man. That's been amazing talk, man. Corey, before we get out of here, anything you want to say to the bros?
I appreciate y'all sharing the way y'all did, man. You know, y'all, as you know, y'all are humble, accomplished folks. Like, and humility is something I don't do. I think humility is stupid, but y'all epitomize what it means to do what you need to do and do it in a way that makes people feel comfortable doing it with you. You know what I mean?
No,
instead of trying to work against you, you know, because, you know, it's a lot of people out here doing some amazing stuff, but, you know, the way they're going about it is really hard for them to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish because of the way they're trying to accomplish it. And for y'all to be accomplishing the things that y'all are accomplishing and the way that y'all accomplishing it is absolutely amazing.
And listen, I'm opposite. I love the humility because it was Walter Payton. Walter Payton says, when you're good, you got to let everybody know. But when you're great, other people will let everybody else know. You know what I'm saying? So when you're doing great things, people going to let everybody else know what you're doing, man. And you guys are accomplishing great things, man. And you're building together, which is very important for the folks to see that, you know, black men can come together and create it, as Ras says, an institution. This isn't a hedge fund. It's an institution. Don't you guys forget that. This is an institution, right? So, man, listen, we want to wish you guys much success. We're going to follow your journey, man. You always have a platform in us, man, and we're going to continue to build together. And anything we can do to help you brothers, you know, Rosh, you know how to reach us, man.
Okay.
You know, we got you, man. Cause
you got that inside ring.
Yeah, man, you got the bat line, man. Because we want to make sure that, man, that you guys are successful in what you do, because you know you're going to help thousands and thousands of other families, and that's our objective. So we believe in collaboration over competition. So any way we can help you guys grow, that's what we're about, man. Just want to say thank you for your time as well.
Thank you.
And for the folks out there watching and listening.
Before we get off, man, is that, you know, I got to shout out what y'all are doing. You feel me, Corey, Jimmy, the fact that y'all are, again, two black men coming together, right, building this platform and the growth that y'all experienced just over the past year alone, man. I got to shout that out, and major
appreciate you, bro,
y'all and everything y'all got going on, man. I'm looking up to y'all, for real, man. Much respect. And again, you feel me, publicly, shout out to Corey for guiding me through. Y'all need to check out BuyTheHood University. A lot of good content there. Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Listen, that's what we're about, man. Helping each other grow, man, and continue to do what you do, man. We're going to make sure that we share the information to the folks within the description about, so they can look up and get some info on Breaux Capital, and see what you guys got going on, and any sort of social media links that you want us to share. We're going to make sure we share that. But you know, Ras, appreciate you. T White, man, appreciate you, bro. And I thank you for being so transparent, man, and sharing those stories, because, man, I know a lot of people are going to be able to relate to some of the you know, stress and things you go through in your space, man. So I appreciate you being very transparent. And to our, no doubt, man. To our folks watching and listening, man, as we always say, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep. Game elevates, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.